questions, please feel free to line up at the microphone or yell from your seat.
I just wondered if there was any thought to romancing UGA into supporting the local scene a little more by booking some local bands, getting the kids involved instead of just everybody who's been here for 20 years or so.
Yeah, I think on a big level, I think on the classical musical level. I was a music student here, actually studied. I didn't know there was a studio in the music building until my third year. As a music student, nobody had ever said that. I had played in Chase Park, I played different studios around town. I think the music business program is awesome. It's growing really fast. Both Davids are doing wonderful work. I hope that becomes a full-fledged major. And I would love to see even students in the journalism school, in PR and advertising. Why can't, say, a group of students from the advertising department do some internship work or promotion for the 40 Watt, the shows that they're doing there, or George Theater, or somebody to help these, promote any kind of shows. There's a big gap. It's pretty obvious, yeah.
Well, you know what, let me rephrase that, because I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I think there probably are pathways, but I don't think a lot of people know what they are. Because obviously if we got the Davids involved, like those guys do great stuff. I think people need to know more how we can build those bridges.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, not to cut you off, but I'll tell you what, when I first came into town, like, I came to Athens because I came to the University of Georgia. So, hip-hop guy coming to town, like, my thing was, we got a student organization started. We was playing on Tate Stage, we was playing in the PJs, we was playing in Georgia Hall, I think it's called. Well, it's probably different now. But I think one thing that a lot of bands don't do is do that. Like, I just don't think that bridge is built there. Like, play Tate Stage, get with the student organization, build some sort of relationship with them. And in fact, with us, we made our own student organization. You need 10, well, when I was doing it, you needed 10 students, Social Security number, get an organization, and why shouldn't bands have like little fan bases on on campus, where you can play the Tate Stage, you can play some of these places around the campus where maybe, all those freshmen do use the fake IDs, but maybe some freshmen that like can't go out downtown can come to the Tate Stage or come to these venues that are on campus that are now building that bridge. Like, we did it. And I mean, the only reason we stopped doing it is because, people graduated, people moved away. But it works. Like, I've seen it work. I've seen us be on campus, like have a visible presence on campus, and it's real. Like, it can happen. And we're attempting to do it again as we speak. So, yeah.
I have a question. My question is, and it's kind of an ambiguous one because music's invisible, and it's a lot in this town, well, I think in every town and nationally, it's built on a flavor of cool. And you think that it's sustainable for a market to last on an idea of what's cool? Because cool seems to be trending, and trending is, well, it's trending. And it's changing all the time. So how do we, as a city and as an industry, sustain ourselves, like me as an individual who wants to be cool and in the loop, and also play music that's, well, stands on its own and can become timeless, maybe. That's what the hope is. And how do we, as a community of musicians, sustain ourselves and work together? Because it seems to be an issue of unity now that I've listened to the content this afternoon. How do we come together and make the market grow in this city?
I mean, I think that kind of goes back to our first question too, about how we kind of transform Athens from being known as this kind of music town on a superficial level to really building our music industry here. If any of you guys have.
I think it's naturally changing too. I think the work that Tommy and do at New West in Normaltown is, if you haven't been to a show there, that didn't exist. Well, I played one in the basement of New West Records. It literally was like an acoustic night with 15 people. They used to start it there. And now they have this beautiful listening room, and every show I've seen there has been packed. I've played there twice, but every show I've gone to has been packed. So I think it's kind of doing that on its own. It's kind of it's growing in ways, over the past couple of years that are they're slow, but they're hard to put your finger on. But just as an example of what they're doing over there is amazing. And I don't know if there's not an easy solution to how the true nature of it is constantly changing. So as far as on a personal level, you just have to do what you feel good about and what you're passionate about, and yeah, hope it becomes timeless, but cross your fingers at some point.
Tommy, are there simple things that you guys are doing to kind of make that happen, or how have you?
Well, I've been sitting here thinking as we've been going through all this, and it's a lot to take in, and it's everything we've been talking about, from what Montu said to the beginning of this conversation. It seems like a full circle to me in a lot of ways. We're coming back to the same things basically through every question. And once again, being new here, being 2 years in, seeing what this scene has to offer, seeing the cool side of things, seeing the obscure side of things, talking about classical music. We've got interns that are opera singers. And I went to MTSU in Murfreesboro and was in the largest music business program in the entire country. We didn't have that. That we had performance halls, we had things like that, but you had to go to Nashville. And one of the cool things that we did do to unify the student body was hold multiple concerts. You had a talent organization that booked a right to Spring Fest, a Summer Fest, even when school wasn't in session. UGA is huge. There are students that live here year round. That's certainly a possibility, but to what we do in Normaltown, it may be cliche, it may be whatever, but personally, I was kind of given a golden opportunity, and what we do there is, I've got a lot of people that help, but what I book is solely what I'm passionate about, and I put my own money into it and lose my hat every time, but walk out of that when, like Jeremy said, with a packed crowd and an artist that is pleased. We are very fortunate. I've got a green room, I've got a listening room, I've got a stage, I've got an awesome board, I've got opportunity, I've got an awesome boss, and I've been given freedom. And I know I'm speaking me personally here and everything, I'm not trying to just put it on that, but what we do is what we enjoy and what we're passionate about, and I don't mind taking a hit to walk out of there at the end of the night and feel really good about what we did.
So being okay with losing money is the key here.
Well, that's part of it, certainly. If I could figure out a way to make money, and I know I could, but there's a lot to go through on just from our personal side of it, like that we're not ready to do. We're a label, so we have artists that we work with that come through. We're fortunate that when the room was built, it wasn't built to hold shows. It was a demo room, it was a tracking room, it was a rehearsal space. It evolved through friendships. We really liked how it went in the beginning. It was like, hey, maybe we've got something here. Maybe we didn't even have a name, and the reason we named it Normaltown Hall, besides the obvious association to Normaltown Records, was that when we were talking about it, doing it, I was asked, what do you want to do with it? I said, I want it to be like a town hall. I want it to be community. I want people to come in here and just enjoy a show and get all walks of life. I'll be straight blunt. I haven't had a hip hop artist in there. I haven't had a DJ in there, and it's not personal taste or anything. It's really, we work out our shows when they can work out. I have interns who work for free. I work for free and actually work in the red. And I've got a couple other guys that do the same thing. And so it's, all right, when this works, when it makes sense, let's do it, and let's promote the hell out of it and see what we can do. And I don't know, I'm rambling, but it's, I think Athens is great. I think this music scene is awesome. I do see a lack of togetherness in the scenes. I certainly see certain bands that have certain crowds that play certain amounts of time that get lots of people, and then I see a lot of other places struggle. I see lots of clubs that do really well that book local bands. but I mean, to everything we're talking here, I think if we did come together a little bit more, and I mean, what y'all are saying, what Alyssa said, bringing varying acts onto a show. I mean, in a town like this where it's college kids, not a lot of people have a ton of money, but $3 to $5. I'm Montu, like, come on. That's, I mean, it is a beer. It's a beer. You know, instead of drinking 5, you can drink 4. And
It's 2 beers in Athens.
well, yeah, it depends on what you're drinking. I mean, PBRs, 2 PBRs for sure. I mean, there are a lot of things to be done. The university is doing a pretty damn good job. The Davids, as they said, are doing a great job bringing this program bigger. But I mean, the student population here is a gigantic chunk of this town. And if you could unify that group and really get the university behind the music scene, you probably could really develop outside interests. So,
Matt?
Hi, I'm Matt Hutchins, and I have sort of getting to the same thing we were talking about, people not wanting to pay. I think a lot of the music industry here, the musicians work in the service industry, where the minimum wage is like $3, $3.50, and a lot of people are getting paid cash into the table, or maybe just working for tips, so they're not even getting a wage. I was just wondering, sort of, my theory on it is that people are broke, and that creates a culture of poverty where even the students that are coming out, like when I was 19 and came to town and started going to shows, I had Hope Scholarship, my parents were helping me out, I had money, I could go pay $5 for a show, but all my cool buddies were broke, so I was like, oh, I'm broke too, let's just go drink a 6-pack. So like, what would the impact on the town be if we were able to sort of have a living wage, or failing that, just raise? There's cities where minimum wage isn't just the $8 or whatever it is federally, they have a $10 minimum wage or whatever. If we were to enact that, I'm wondering from a government standpoint, the feasibility, and from a venue standpoint, because the economics of venues are often based on being able to pay people this $3 an hour, how sustainable that would be, if that would put more money into the economy that would come back by people spending money, or if it would just close down bars and hurt business in this town.
Well, I guess as the policymaker, I'll start with what I have to offer on that level. I'd love to have like a $12 an hour minimum wage in Athens. I think that'd be fantastic. At the same time, I unfortunately live in this very tiny progressive dot in this big red state. I mean, that's the political reality that's real sad to me. I mean, I sometimes wonder how could we get annexed into another state, or float into our own political island. Georgia actually denies the ability of cities to set a higher minimum wage than the state has set. Unlike New Mexico, where Santa Fe has a higher minimum wage, or New York State, where New York City can set a higher minimum wage. I mean, both are examples underway right now. So we can't do that. Now what we can do is make a real concerted effort to attract employers who are going to pay, generally speaking, higher wages. So, there's lots of hoopla about Caterpillar, and it wasn't just the number of jobs, it was the nature of those jobs. It was the fact that you're looking at an average wage in the mid-50s, not in the mid-20s. And so that makes a big difference. Folks talking about the university in terms of promotion of music sort of on an internal basis. The university, and I'll be honest, my daytime employer, the school district, ought to be leaned on when it comes to promoting living wages as well. The university has crept up, but they continue to do sleight of hand when it comes to offering temporary employment to folks like custodians who work 9 months out of the year, and because they don't fall under the full-time category, they don't get the real minimum wage. The school district continues to pay bus drivers shit. I mean, I'm just, to be frank. I'll say for the government in which I'm a policymaker, the unified government of Athens-Clarke County, we've tried to push the floor up and up and up. So the lowest paid full-time job working for Athens-Clarke County right now is about $25,000 a year. That's the bottom. And so I'm proud of that, and I'm glad that that's the stance that we've taken when it comes to living wage. I think there was another piece of the question, another piece of the puzzle, but I've lost the thread.
Anybody want to answer the other piece of the question? Matt?
I think you're right. I don't know if this is going to tie. I remember playing once overseas, and there was a particular club called Gleis 22, and it was the first time I ever ran into this. Everything was subsidized. The club, the food that was served, the board that was bought, it was basically run by young people, and they didn't rely on the door or anything. And I had never even thought of that. I don't know if, like, is some type of possibility of that is viable in the future. Art support, you know? But that seems like a long shot. I mean, it's just constantly getting cut. But yeah, I definitely have those times where I kind of want to go to a show, and I'm like, it might not be $3 that stops me, but if it's like 10 or 15, I'm like, yeah, well. So it's a big issue, yeah. So the economics of it are, pretty deep hole, I think.
And I mean, that's politics. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they don't bleed into each other, because they do. I mean, it's all the same, you know what I mean? But, you know, I'm not rich. A lot of people that I roll with not rich. You know, I understand what you're saying, but I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just being a hard ass or whatever, but $3 to $5. I'm sorry. I know people that spend something on some brain food, if you know what I'm saying, and do other things with, you know, go to the vending machine when they're at work and spending $5, $10. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, let's not act like $3 to $5 is a lot of money. I mean, yes, we're living in these economic times, and things is, yes, people are broke. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not sitting here saying, like, you gotta pay the $3 to $5. But, like, let's also not act like it's $3 to $5. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Like, I see people trick off money like it's nothing, and them are the ones that say they broke. You know? People be saying they're broke, and then they're going to the bar and will buy beers for everybody. Yeah, rounds on me. You could have, you know, not round on you and like came down to my show. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I understand what you're saying, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like, I feel like there's been this standard in Athens where, like, we're spoiled, man. And I think we need to get past that. Like, yeah, it's cool to do a free show, but we are spoiled. Like, stop thinking that you gotta, like, be on the list, or you gotta, like, you're not gonna pay for a show because I don't know who that band is. Like, you just missed out. Like, I'm sorry, like, a lot of people miss out on bands because they don't want to pay $3 to $5. And I'm sorry, like, $3 to $5 is not a lot of money.
But there's also a lot of people that, when I was in college, I was a sponge. I wanted to see every type of music I could, and I would go see music 6 nights a week here. And that $3 to $5 adds up. And not speaking to Matt, but I always see Matt at shows, so I know that money's, you know, he's paying this cover a lot. So that's what the spread and thin and the whole spoiled kind of thing kind of comes into play. I think it's that we have so many options on a night. Every night we have so many options, and it's hard. It's hard with that money. You know, when you're paying that cover, it does start to add up. And we're I don't know. I guess we're just really.
I guess I'm talking, and maybe I'm being, you know, selfish or personal, you know, because I'm talking about like my scene and my show and things. So I see what you're saying. Like, it does add up. But, you know, like, if you went to, like, you know, for the last 5 months, if you went to a bunch of indie rock shows, like, come pay $5 for one of our shows. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, like, I feel like we can build some bridges and, like, no, don't get me wrong. I feel what you're saying. Let's build, right. Let's do a pop act, let's do a hip hop act, indie rock act, and a punk rock act, or whatever it is. And let's just have some banging shows at all these venues around town, and let's just build these bridges and make Athens a city that it really can be, and is honestly gonna be.
All right. I think we got to wrap things up here shortly, so a couple quick questions.
Okay, this is not so much a question, but an insight into this topic. One's really quick, and the other one is a little bit longer, but still not really long. I'm Juliet Easton with Noiseweek Productions, and I'm also the founder of Athens Creative Collective, which was founded not just to help with music, but with the arts in general in Athens. And I was seeing a big gap of, I've worked in a lot of stuff with nonprofits over the years and everything, and including Partnership for Prosperous Athens and One Athens. We have, going meta a little bit here with arts in general, not just for music, but it definitely applies to everything we're talking about here, is we have a city with a high poverty rate, okay? And so we're trying to get money for musicians from this little pool here that's broke. To me, what makes a whole lot more sense, instead of trying to focus on things like cover charges, which are really important, and I'll get a little bit of that in the second point. I think it makes more sense for us to figure out how can we work together as a city to take our biggest resources we have. You know, some areas have cotton as their big crop, and they promote the heck out of that to the whole world, okay? Why don't we work together to take music and help musicians, artists, every type of arts that are strong? We have more artists, visual artists per capita than anywhere else in the Southeast. We have tons of musicians here that are very talented. Why don't we teach people how to do marketing? Okay? In addition to being a musician, I'm also an entrepreneur. I've been doing marketing, internet marketing since 1997. And this stuff can be taught to people. And another thing that I've been working on, I'm also on the International Advisory Council for the Torrance Center. We're going to be working on trying to get a time bank going in Athens and have our people put designations. If they're a musician, they can put that on there. If they're, you know, an artist or whatever, and they want to network with other people and switch time for, hey, I'll do your Reverb Nation profile for you because I've got that down. I know how to do it and I know how to market it. If you do my Twitter account for me, you know, we can work together and collaborate to lift this whole city up, because everybody who's a musician has a market out there somewhere on the planet. It might not be here in this little bitty town, and we're trying to feed off each other in this little town, and it doesn't make sense. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I think it's really important. And one quick point on the cover charges, okay? If you get a free show, you get a cover charge and you get 3 people show up, all right? Then you get a free show and you got 50 people show up. That means as the bar owner, you're making more money. Why don't you take a percentage of that money you're making and give that to the band? Why not?
We do that. I think we do that. It's a versus.
And I know some places in Athens do, some clubs do, but some don't.
Yeah,
and
we had to do a thing where we just take they call it suggested donation. You know,
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we'll come in. If you don't like it, you know, leave. But you know, and you put it on the customer. I hate to feel that weird. You know, I don't want them inside the room going up with a hat or anything like that. But at the door, it's like, hey, just so you know, this band came from New Jersey or whatever, and they're looking for, you know, gas money. That's all they're paying for. So we give them the total, whichever is higher, the percentage of the bar, 10% of the bar, or the donations at the door. And it's usually the donations. People are good when you put it on. When you put it on them, they're kind of like, they throw more than $3. They'll put $10. You know, the one dude for every 3 or 4, you know, we'll put a 20 in there. So it kind of goes. It does. There's hope. That's what I'm trying to say. On the freaking on that stuff. So.
I agree with everything you said about kind of promoting it. I think the idea, everybody says REM, B-52's early days of 82. There was some stuff that happened along with that. Athens Inside Out, the film, the promotion. Austin, I read recently, and I've spent a lot of time there in the past, but they really, I don't know whether through their city government or through other institutions, but it is known as the live music capital of the world, and I think music-related income generated there is $1.7 billion a year through their music. Everything connected to their music. But there's a push there that doesn't necessarily, it's more hands-off here. It's kind of been coasted, I think, for a while. As far as, not clubs, but like let's say something like an arts council promoting specific, you know, outside of town type of stuff. But I don't know. I'm not an expert on that stuff.
Thank you.
Mine's not really much of a question. I just kind of wanted to piggyback off of what Tommy was saying earlier and elaborate a little bit more about the general point behind this. I've been in Athens 32 years and I've seen everything there is to see with music here. And I understand. I'm about to say what nobody really wants to say here. The reason why hip-hop is just right here on the side, it's kind of swept under the rug and we don't really deal with it unless we have to. You know, we really don't have too many people who want to talk up for hip-hop because of what we kind of represent. But there are artists in Athens who have much more things to say besides violence and in this and F that and the rest of this crap. So to me the solution here is, but here's the trick, is that hip hop is worldwide. So we can pretend that, You know, Athens is an indie band, indie rock place, and the bands. But these college kids are going to these bars, bumping their butts to Lil Wayne. I'm sorry, I hate it, but it's true. So we can sit here and pretend that hip hop is not the medium here, but it is. The question is, how can we take hip hop and turn it into something not destructive and blend it and fuse it together? Exactly. And fuse it together with these bands. I didn't know where I was coming to today until I realized it was the melting point, and I actually did a show here with a guy named Josh Daniels where I was rapping to him playing acoustic guitar. And we had a band called Our Evolution, and it was folk and hip hop. I like to do different stuff. That's why my name is Versatile. This group is called the Wild Wolf Pack. It's kids who go into school and teach kids. There are people out here in this community, Christmas, Eugene Willis, there are people that you can reach out to. You can go Google us, thewildwolfpack.com. Go look us up. There are people, but this is the solution whether you know it or not, because the college kids, they want that sound. They want that sound. Just like they love the bands, they want that hip hop. They want the grunge of it, but we can also give it to them without them having the negative message as well. And we can use it and fuel this movement. If people believe in something, they will fight for it. If you believe in something, if you believe in a religion, you're not going to let anybody tell you opposite of what you believe in. So if we want to spark the music back in Athens, like when I was growing up in REM, because everybody believed in Michael Stipe and what he told you about. He was free to be himself. That's what I believed in. I grew up on that. We need to give purpose behind it again. That's the answer. If you want to get down to what it's really about, Athens needs something to believe in again. There's nothing to believe in around here. That's it. There's a lot of good bands, but who believes in them? They sound good, but what are they telling you? What are they talking about? That's the answer.
All right.
Just a quick, I guess, comment on the $3 to $5 thing. I think it's really the responsibility to put on the artist. When I was performing, I had people come $7, $10, $20 for a 7-minute set. And they pay that, they're willing to pay it for 20, 30 people. And that's what it really has to be. Like, I mean, the promoter got the venue, they put it together, they put the show, did the flyer, all that kind of stuff. So put some responsibility on the actual artist to, get their fans there. They're trying to make it in the music industry and actually do something. You have to build your fan base, and that's their responsibility. And then another suggestion I would say is just really, I think there should be some sort of just central hub, maybe online, of everything that's going on. I work in the school district. I see him, every 2 times a week for the last 4 years with kids. I work with 500 kids in this district teaching music production. But no, like I never met him. I see you all the time, right? But so it just needs to be like a central hub to where people can go online and say, oh, this person does this person does this. Let's link up together. It could be a WordPress site. One person from each organization can have a login and post what's going on. It's easy to do.
Yeah, I think Flagpole does a good job of it. They have a music, but it's once a year the music directory issue. Is that right? Or do they still do that? I don't know if they still do that. That was a really cool one. Maybe that's something that could be up constantly updated.
Because to me, Facebook invites are like MySpace invites. I don't look at them.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off what you're saying, I really think that I sit on a couple boards, and I think really, if possible, I know I'm a dreamer. You know what I'm saying? I'm an idealist, so everybody knows I'm out there. But I don't see why we can't have some sort of board or some sort, like you said, some sort of central hub where we have hip hop represented, indie rock represented, the arts movement represented, the just all these different forms of art and movement going on, where we can now come together. To me, what we're doing right now, we should be doing this once a month. And not with microphones, but just sitting around a circle and just really building on some things, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Thanks. All right, we got to wrap this up. So quickly.
Okay, I just want to say I've been in Athens for about 1.5 years and one of the organizers of Athens Hip-Hop Awards. The segregation doesn't just come from the hip-hop and the music scene. It comes from the government, UGA, because even us coming here from, just coming from the city, jumping in, going to the clubs, going to these different venues and facing walls, facing turn down. As soon as you say the name hip hop, I'm a mom. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I have a master's degree. I graduated with full sail. There's a lot of stuff that's going on with me But you can't judge me because I say hip hop. So the segregation to me is government, downtown, the indie rock, the locals. It's a lot of segregation going on. So if there's one thing, because I come to these events and we all leave, if there's one thing you could tell us to do, that we can walk out this door and do different, to be more proactive, to make a difference, what would that one thing be? What would you say, okay, well, next time you go out, do this, or post this, or do that? Because it is a movement. It has to be a movement in general. It has to be like a melting pot movement. So what would that one advice, because we all sit, we talk, we're gonna leave. Some of us are not gonna exchange information, and that's that, you know? But if there's one thing that we all can leave tangibly, hold on to, leave out this door and do, to contribute, to make a change in this community, what would that one thing you would advise us to do?
I mean, I would say stick with it. I moved away 4 years ago and came back, so I was in Brooklyn, so I got to like be away from Athens and then come back. And when I saw that there had already been two, there was the second annual Hip Hop Awards, that blew my mind. Congratulations. I just never thought that would happen. Well, keep fighting then. Would you believe? I mean, that's for me not knowing and coming back and seeing that, I was like, really? That's really a thing? That's great. You know, I would go to the theater every night, so I never get to really go anywhere else. But you know, that's club life. But no, that's a great start. You know, and I hope it went well. Stick with. That's my advice.
And it's building with people like him, like these people on the panel, like everybody out in the thing, like really, like let's. And I've been to 1,000 conferences. I've been to 1,000 meetings. Like it's like my sister said right here. Like when we leave, let's not just be this ain't just when we talking. Let's really like exchange numbers and really make something happen with what we're trying to do for the city of Athens, because this is what we're trying to do for this great city that we live in, the classic.
And it's a great place. It's like, I'm from Jamaica. I've been so many different, I'm music. I love music. And I love the organic mixture and culture, but it's just, it's like you're missing out on something. I don't know what it is, but it's something big. It's like, it's so authentic. But in any case, Pastor Troy will be here next week for a Q&A, a meet and greet. We believe in edutainment, in education and entertaining, because I believe in order for you to make a change, you have to be knowledgeable. And this business, in a sense, is more than just putting your music out there, $3 chart. There's a lot to it. And you can spend a lot of years in it and never get to where you're trying to go. So we're having a Q&A session next week with Pastor Troy. It's not a concert. You can actually come and sit down and talk to an artist that's been in the industry and ask him questions. And it's funny because when we say education, we're having an artist come that's been in the industry that you can ask. People like, huh? Education? Can I get on the mic? You know what I mean? But, okay. So I'm just going to say, you know, come out, support, edutainment. Pastor Troy will be here next week, Wednesday at New Earth from 7 to 11. It will be a Q&A. It will be a meet and greet, and that's what myself and my husband is about, edutainment. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jasmine. All right. Final comment, and then we can all hang out and chat.